At the very center of the arena stood a young man challenging the martial emperor. He had shattered the martial emperor's blade and struck down his primordial spirit, forcing the sovereign to engage in a direct confrontation of physical bodies. At that moment, the two were evenly matched. But just as the battle reached its climax, the youth suddenly awoke. It turned out that the entire spectacle was nothing more than a daydream during his lecture. His name is Dao Ling, and everyone around him jeered, mocking him as a good-for-nothing for deluding himself that he could challenge a martial emperor. Dao Ling paid them no mind. Instead, he approached teacher Ye Yun to apologize for falling asleep in her class. Shortly after, Wang Ling stepped forward to initiate the physical strength examination. Because Wang Ling was considered talented, his sycophant, Wang Li, was busy singing his praises to the heavens. When Wang Ling's strike proved to be as powerful as Wang Li had boasted, Dao Ling openly scoffed at them. Then, it was Dao Ling's turn to be tested. But his striking power was non-existent. He was simply repelled by the machine. At that moment, only Ya Er and Ye Yun expressed their belief in his future success, leading Dao Ling to vow that he would never let them down. That evening, Dao Ling returned home, anxious about the upcoming examination in 3 days, and resolved to cultivate. Overcome by exhaustion before he could even begin, he resorted to doing handstands to stay awake. In that moment of struggle, a strange voice resonated within his mind. It warned Dao Ling that he must consume the blood of a ferocious beast, or remain an ordinary mortal for the rest of his life. But the danger of such an act left him hesitant. Shortly after, Dao Ling arrived at the designated spot to meet Ya Er. Upon meeting, Ya Er offered Dao Ling a medicinal pill, while he provided her with a blue crystal to aid her cultivation. Unexpectedly, as soon as she received it, she summoned Wang Ling and handed him the blue crystal that belonged to Dao Ling. It became clear that she had only been exploiting Dao Ling to acquire the rare crystal. At that instant, Wang Li lunged forward to attack him. Dao Ling immediately retorted by berating Wang Ling as a mere secondary son. Unsurprisingly, this insult resulted in him being beaten to the brink of death. Once satisfied, Wang Ling ordered Wang Li to force-feed him the blood of a ferocious beast, intending for Dao Ling to explode and die. As Dao Ling lay dying, the essence of the beast possessed him. But instead of destruction, it cleared his meridians and surged his cultivation to new heights. The following morning, the voice within Dao Ling's mind informed him that to further increase his cultivation, he must consume even more potent beast blood. He immediately set off for the treasure pavilion to purchase the blood of a ferocious beast. The moment he entered, he declared his intent to purchase beast blood, leading the shopkeeper to assume he was a man of great wealth. But when he complained about the exorbitant price, the shopkeeper sneered, mocking Dao Ling for daring to enter the shop without sufficient funds. He didn't even bother to examine the ores Dao Ling brought, instead threatening to throw him out by force. To his surprise, none of the men present were a match for Dao Ling, and they were promptly dealt with and left in a sorry state. At that moment, Elder Chen appeared, apologized to Dao Ling, and inspected the ores he had brought. Upon seeing the blue crystal, the shopkeeper rushed over to apologize, even striking himself in an attempt to appease Dao Ling. Afterward, Elder Chen escorted Dao Ling to an upper floor to wait while the blue crystal was being appraised. While waiting, Dao Ling noticed a cultivation manual on the table, and inadvertently mastered its techniques. Shortly after, Elder Chen arrived with Ziyu, the proprietor of the treasure-gathering pavilion, and the rightful owner of the secret manual. Upon realizing he had pilfered a cultivation technique, Dao Ling immediately apologized to Ziyu. Recognizing his exceptional aptitude, she offered him a different technique instead. She stipulated that if he could master it within 3 months, she would overlook his transgression. Otherwise, he would be required to compensate her with 2 blue spirit stones. At this moment, Elder Chen also presented Dao Ling with 3 vials of savage beast blood. Having secured these resources, he departed, only to be intercepted by Wang Li at the gate. Wang Li immediately erected a formation, demanding that Dao Ling surrender all his blue spirit stones. To his astonishment, Dao Ling shattered the formation with minimal effort. Dao Ling proceeded to thrash Wang Li, who then proposed an alliance to help him expose Wang Ling. Yet, as Wang Li attempted a treacherous strike, Dao Ling struck him down permanently. That evening, Dao Ling consumed the savage beast blood to cultivate, but he overslept the next morning, nearly missing a crucial examination. As Wang Ling was currently leading the rankings, Dao Ling stepped onto the arena to challenge him. Ye Yun attempted to restrain him, fearing for his safety, but Dao Ling remained resolute in his ascent to the stage. Wang Ling declared that if Dao Ling could withstand a single punch, he would be declared the victor. When he effortlessly parried the blow, a wave of shock rippled through the crowd. Enraged, Wang Ling charged forward, only to be sent flying by Dao Ling's counterattack. Wang Ling summoned his primordial spirit, a massive bull, prompting Dao Ling to unleash the Qilin essence he had recently refined. The two were evenly matched in power, but as the savage beast's blood surged through him, Dao Ling overwhelmed Wang Ling, leaving him battered and broken. Ye Yun intervened to stop Dao Ling, assisting him in stabilizing the chaotic blood energy within his body. That afternoon, Dao Ling awoke in the quarters of teacher Ye. She then personally attended to his wounds by applying medicinal ointment. Though the application was painful, it was then that Dao Ling discovered Ye Yun was a skilled alchemist. She revealed that she was a student of the Star Academy and would return once the Academy's recruitment period concluded. That evening, Wang Ling consumed 3 vials of medicinal elixirs but failed to recover, all while Jun Fei demanded the return of his blue spirit stones. Consequently, Yao fabricated a lie, claiming that Dao Ling had forcibly stolen the blue spirit stones from Wang Ling. The trio set out to confront Dao Ling, but he refused to yield to their baseless demands. Yao and Wang Ling launched a combined assault, yet even in a 2-on-1 confrontation, Dao Ling held the advantage. Furthermore, he seized the opportunity to break through to the Yunling realm, swiftly putting an end to Wang Ling's life. Yao was narrowly saved by Jun Fei, and recognizing Jun Fei's formidable strength, Dao Ling wisely chose to retreat. Upon returning home, Dao Ling collapsed from exhaustion, but fortunately, his father had medicinal herbs on hand. Once recovered, Dao Ling simply told his father that he had merely been troubled by a few nuisances. Upon hearing that his son could finally cultivate, his father was overcome with joy and produced a cache of blue spirit stones. These were the fruits of his lifelong labor, meticulously saved for the sake of his son's future. Therefore, Dao Ling made a promise to gain admission to the Star Academy. The following morning, Ye Yun led everyone to the treasure-gathering pavilion to utilize the void formation for travel to Qingzhou City. Soon after, Elder Chen appeared, explaining that the treasure-gathering pavilion maintained branches across the world, allowing their void formations to reach any destination. Before long, the entire group arrived in Qingzhou City. At that moment, someone discovered an ancient zither, but to their surprise, it suddenly lashed out and attacked. 2 members from the Wu family then appeared, shoving aside everyone standing in their way. Their arrogance provoked Dao Ling, making him yearn to strike them down. But Ye Yun held him back, insisting they prioritize arriving at the recruitment grounds. The recruitment area was already densely crowded, yet Dao Ling fell into a deep slumber right there, drawing mocking laughter from those around him. Their mockery was short-lived, however, as they were all forced to their knees by the oppressive aura released by an elder. Yet that immense pressure served only to rouse Dao Ling from his sleep. A short while later, only those who remained standing were permitted to advance to the next round. It was then that Jun Fei approached Dao Ling, declaring that he would end his life during this trial. The sheer intensity of the aura clashing between the two caused the other candidates to collapse. However, the elder intervened, ordering everyone to collect their identification tokens before being teleported to the next location. The 10 candidates who secured the most tokens would be admitted into the Star Academy, with the top 3 receiving grand rewards. As soon as Dao Ling was teleported, he found himself targeted by 2 assailants. Unexpectedly, Dao Ling stripped both of them of their tokens. He realized that acting as bait for other scavengers might prove quite lucrative. Thus, Dao Ling altered his appearance to look bedraggled and weakened. Sure enough, he immediately lured in several evildoers. He unleashed a flurry of strikes, relieving them of all their tokens. Meanwhile, Jun Fei commanded his subordinates to hunt down and eliminate Dao Ling. As for Ya fearing that Dao Ling would kill her, she attempted to beguile Jun Fei, only to be coldly cast aside by him. Forced to leave, she had no idea that she would encounter Dao Ling almost immediately. She quickly signaled for backup, then attempted to manipulate the past, claiming she had been coerced into following Wang Yang. Hearing this, Dao Ling prepared to spare her, but she seized the moment to attempt a lethal strike with a hidden blade. Consequently, she was struck down and killed by Dao Ling. Witnessing this, the others charged at Dao Ling, but he swiftly neutralized them one by one, sparing the life of the final survivor. However, he forced the man to hand over his tokens as payment for his life. Yet before Dao Ling could walk a few paces, he found his path blocked by the ancient zither. It introduced itself as Ling Diao, and arrogantly demanded that Dao Ling become its servant. But Dao Ling had already caught it red-handed, secretly stealing the tokens he had dropped. Upon being discovered, the zither taunted him, challenging him to try and strike it. Dao Ling gave chase to punish Ling Diao, but because the creature could fly, without hesitation, Dao Ling hurled a massive boulder toward it. This enraged the spirit bird, which became determined to incinerate him. Little did it know, this distraction allowed him to seize the order tokens from the others. Exhausted and unable to breathe fire, the spirit bird resorted to using its talons, only to have its storage bags snatched away by Dao Ling. To make matters worse, he delivered a crushing blow that sent the creature slamming into a tree. The spirit bird was now so incensed it sought to tear him apart, yet it was ultimately subdued by his hand. Forced into a corner, it could only muster a faint wisp of flame to facilitate its escape. Subsequently, Dao Ling discovered that the creature possessed a supreme-grade human elixir. He immediately consumed the elixir, and sought out a secluded tree to cultivate his internal energy. Meanwhile, the 2 individuals he had robbed were were currently on their way to locate a spirit-connecting fruit. To their misfortune, they were intercepted and killed by Tuan Fei, who seized their map leading to the fruit. At that moment, Dao Ling sensed the presence of a divine beast nearby. He set off to find it, only to stumble upon Tuan Fei as he searched for the spirit-connecting fruit. Before Tuan Fei could harvest the fruit, he was ambushed by a white ferret. Recognizing it as a descendant of a divine beast, Tuan Fei proceeded with caution. As the beast lunged at him, he attempted to strike it down with a hidden weapon. Fortunately, Dao Ling intervened, allowing the creature to evade the lethal projectile. This interference, however, forced him into a direct confrontation with Tuan Fei. The two engaged in a fierce struggle, but Tuan Fei's relentless use of hidden weapons kept Dao Ling from focusing on a decisive strike. Ultimately, with the protective assistance of the divine beast, Dao Ling managed to send Tuan Fei flying back with a powerful strike. The beast, seeking its own vengeance, lunged toward Tuan Fei as well. The creature nearly lost its life in the process, narrowly avoiding a fatal blow. Dao Ling and Tuan Fei clashed once more, but after being kicked into the ground, Tuan Fei seized the opportunity to flee. The beast moved to pursue him, but noticing Dao Ling was wounded, it offered him a spirit-connecting fruit instead. A single fruit was sufficient to fully restore his injuries. Sensing the presence of another divine beast within a nearby cavern, Dao Ling entered, bringing the white ferret along with him. As they ventured deeper, the ferret discovered a stalk of green bamboo. Dao Ling approached to grasp the treasure, but it levitated away. Nevertheless, he managed to capture it. Thus, the white ferret and the green bamboo became Dao Ling's new companions. Upon entering the depths of the cave, he perceived a surging, ominous aura. Further inside, they discovered a stone statue bearing the likeness of the white ferret. As the creature stood atop the statue, two phantom shadows of a divine snow beast materialized. Though the sight initially frightened the ferret, Dao Ling recognized it as a residual mark left by its ancestors and retrieved it for the creature to absorb. However, it chose to absorb only one of the imprints. Just at that moment, Tuan Fei lunged from the shadows to strike Dao Ling. The white ferret rushed to assist, but Tuan Fei had fallen into a demonic trance, attacking Dao Ling with maniacal ferocity. With no other options, he was forced to incinerate him. After Tuan Fei perished, Dao Ling claimed his void jade as a trophy of war. He then repurposed the silver needles as a weapon for the white ferret. Unexpectedly, a yin spirit stirred within the cavern and launched an assault on Dao Ling as well. When the spirit saw him flee, it pursued him with relentless determination. Dao Ling was forced to exhaust his strength just to escape the cave's depths. However, the entity unleashed demonic energy to scour the entire forest. Even with his protective barrier, Dao Ling could not fully withstand the onslaught. Those nearby were also affected, and even the spirit bird soaring above was struck down to the ground. Dao Ling and the white ferret quickly mounted the spirit bird to make their escape. As the time limit of one incense stick expired, everyone hurried toward the main exit. Leading the group was Wu Bangai. Dao Ling's group then took flight, heading straight outside. The spirit bird sought to incinerate Dao Ling for the audacity of using it as a mount. However, the elder intervened, reminding the creature that violence was strictly forbidden outside the trial grounds. Dao Ling then produced his command medallion, revealing a count that far surpassed that of Wu Banghai. Thus, he secured the first-place position in this trial. Subsequently, those who were selected were escorted to the Star Academy. Ye Yun was tasked by the elder to guide the new students, while Dao Ling was detained to receive a Zi Xin Yun Ling pill. He was also granted a medallion for 1 month of access to the cultivation chamber, along with a new cultivation manual. Dao Ling made his way to the cultivation chamber, but was intercepted by members of the Wang family along the path. They demanded the return of the jade pendant and silver needles, but Dao Ling flatly refused. Enraged, the man smashed the door to intimidate him, but Dao Ling remained undaunted and openly defied him. Just as the aggressor launched his attack, a man named Lin Mu intervened. He cited the academy's regulations to drive the assailant away. The young scion of the Wang family retreated, declaring that he would return for Dao Ling in 3 days. Dao Ling thanked Lin Mu for his assistance before quickly entering the cultivation chamber. While the white ferret took the opportunity to rest, Dao Ling consumed the medicinal pill to begin his training. After completing his session, Dao Ling encountered Ye Yun. He recounted his experience of entering a mysterious, unfamiliar world. He had initially dismissed it as a dream, but Ye Yun corrected him, saying, "That is the world essence within you." She further explained, "This was merely a temporary entry. If you wish to return to the origin, your cultivation must reach the Zhao Qi realm." Hearing this, Dao Ling became determined to focus on his cultivation. Then, Ye Yun brought him to the small martial Dao Stela. Only those who possess true strength can use their will to etch their name onto the stetl. The names inscribed there still radiate a formidable pressure. At that moment, from a single name, Dao Ling witnessed the process of a young boy carving his name into the stone. The strength of that youth was such that his aura could assault Dao Ling, but fortunately he managed to deflect it and remained unharmed. Afterward, Ye Yun remarked, That boy was none other than the martial emperor, who was only 10 years old when he carved his name. The current cultivation level of the martial emperor is likely beyond measure. At the same time, a Luthian bird descended. Its rider was the future queen of the Great Qian dynasty. Hearing this, Dao Ling desired to watch her carve her name, but fortunately, Ye Yun pulled him back, or else he would have stumbled into the pressure field of the stone steeple. Just then, the young princess produced a supreme-grade artifact. Because such items are so rare that money alone cannot guarantee their acquisition, Dao Ling silently dubbed her the Little Rich Girl. She then successfully etched her name, and the resulting pressure forced several onlookers to their knees. Subsequently, Qian Yao received a treasure from the stone stele. Seeing this, Dao Ling immediately conceived the idea of shattering the stele to obtain more treasures, but fortunately, Ye Yun stopped him, noting that each person is only granted one opportunity to carve their name. Following this, Qian Yao traveled to the Tongling Tower, rumored to be a spatial Dharma treasure. When Dao Ling peered at someone else's runes, he was immediately rebuked, as the runes on the Tongling Tower shift according to each individual. Unexpectedly, the voice within his mind began to synthesize those runes and etched them directly into Dao Ling's consciousness. He then decided to enter the Tongling Tower to cultivate, hoping it might allow him to break through to the Qi creation realm. Ye Yun warned him, every level of the Tongling Tower exerts immense pressure. The 8th and 9th levels, in particular, are extremely perilous. However, Dao Ling sensed there were more than just 9 levels, to which Ye Yun replied, "The tower has 10 levels, yet no one has ever managed to reach the 10th. The surrounding crowd, hearing that Dao Ling intended to ascend to the 10th level, jeered at him, mocking him for his lack of self-awareness. Undeterred, Dao Ling walked straight into the Tongling Tower right before their eyes. Upon entering the first level, the pressure failed to affect him, so he ascended to the 2nd, the 3rd, and so on. He climbed until he reached the 6th level, where he witnessed someone exploding from the strain of cultivation. Another person, noticing Dao Ling, assumed he was courting death, yet Dao Ling moved with more ease than it took for the man to breathe. Dao Ling then decided to pause at the 6th level to acclimate himself to the tower's pressure. The white ferret emerged to stand guard over Dao Ling while he practiced his cultivation. Unbeknownst to them, Wu Penghai and his subordinates appeared. His men shoved the onlookers aside to secure the best position for Wu Penghai. As he approached Dao Ling, the white ferret returned to Dao Ling, complaining that the fellow had been bullying it. Dao Ling replied firmly, "Wu Penghai is merely a defeated opponent who has already tasted defeat at his hands. Therefore he has no right to act so arrogantly here." Upon hearing this, Wu Penghai was displeased. He ordered his subordinates to kill Dao Ling, but they could not even shake him, and were instead beaten until they fell unconscious, serving as nothing more than punching bags. Seeing this, Wu Penghai charged forward himself, only to be promptly swatted away by Dao Ling's Qilin, forcing him to unleash the exquisite pagoda to contend with his opponent. With this artifact, Dao Ling's Qilin appeared as small as a kitten, yet even after the Qilin was defeated, Dao Ling struck Wu Penghai with such force that he vomited blood. Following this, Dao Ling casually seized the exquisite pagoda for himself. Dao Ling intended to use the artifact to strike Wu Penghai, but the latter utilized a talisman to escape. Dao Ling continued his ascent to the 8th floor, but to his surprise, he was immediately intercepted by Lin Mu. It turned out that Lin Musi wished to test his skills against Dao Ling, and Dao Ling was more than willing to accept the challenge. After they clashed for a time, Lin Mu realized that Dao Ling was absorbing wood attribute spiritual energy. This astonished Lin Mu, as Dao Ling did not possess a wood attribute. Dao Ling replied, "Perhaps it is the cultivation technique I am currently practicing." At this moment, Lin Mu desired to move on to the 9th floor, but Dao Ling preferred to remain on the 8th to continue his cultivation, so the two went their separate ways. Unexpectedly, Dao Ling's cultivation process began to affect the entire spirit communication pagoda. This left those waiting outside in a state of absolute shock. Some were even so overwhelmed by the pressure that they coughed up blood on the spot. After a while, Dao Ling concluded his session and decided it was time to ascend to the 9th floor. However, before reaching the 9th floor, he had to traverse a path inscribed with countless mystical runes. The pressure there was immense, forcing him to advance one step at a time. But soon, the runes swarmed around him, and were rapidly absorbed into his body. Upon reaching the 9th floor, Dao Ling was struck by an attack before he could even settle in. It transpired that Lin Mu and Wang Lingquan were locked in combat, as the latter intended to claim the 9th floor for himself. The two immediately resumed their fierce physical exchange. They were evenly matched, but Lin Mu narrowly avoided falling into a forest of blades, saved only by Dao Ling's intervention. Upon spotting Dao Ling, Wang Lingquan reacted as if he had been struck by a bolt of lightning, continuously threatening to take his life. Consequently, both Dao Ling and Lin Mu charged toward Wang Lingquan. Just then, Gan Yao arrived at the exact moment the life essence appeared, prompting her to dash forward to claim it, only to be blocked by Lingquan. It turned out that this life essence produced only 12 drops per year, making it a highly coveted treasure. Ling Quan sneered, stating that, out of respect for the great Gan kingdom, he would deign to grant Gan Yao 2 drops. Enraged, Gan Yao vowed to end Ling Quan's life. While Lin Musei launched an assault against Ling Quan, Dao Ling extended an offer for Gan Yao to join forces with him and Lin Mu. However, she refused, stubbornly charging in and inadvertently striking Lin Mushan instead. Meanwhile, Dao Ling engaged in a heated, blood-pumping duel against Ling Quan. As he used his qilin to pin down the enemy's spear, the other two joined the fray to launch a combined assault. Unexpectedly, he was able to repel Dao Ling and strike back at the other two, only for the Wang family's jade pendant to shield him from the blow. Taking advantage of the chaos, the White Weasel seized all of the life essence liquid. Gan Yao attempted to attack Dao Ling for monopolizing the life essence liquid, but Lin Mu stepped in to stop her. At that moment, Dao Ling was still locked in combat with the Spirit Spring. During the exchange, Dao Ling's spirit beast intervened and whisked him away to safety. It turned out that the pressure in this realm was so immense that his body could no longer endure it. At this time, golden runes enveloped him, working to alleviate the overwhelming pressure. Having successfully shaken off the Spirit Spring, Dao Ling seized the opportunity to treat his injuries. The White Weasel produced the life essence liquid, offering it to him for absorption. As expected, his wounds healed at an astonishing speed. Once recovered, Dao Ling decided to ascend to the 10th floor to evade further pursuit by the Spirit Spring. Surprisingly, the 10th floor was devoid of any pressure, containing only a colossal alchemy furnace. Seeing this, Dao Ling reached out to touch it, inadvertently triggering a hidden mechanism. Suddenly, a giant python materialized, but he quickly struck it down. To his surprise, the python was indestructible. Even the White Weasel's attacks were as ineffective as a mosquito-biting iron, so Dao Ling ordered the beast to retreat. The python then turned its aggression toward him. Dao Ling summoned his qilin, only for it to be crushed and incapacitated by the serpent's coils. Dao Ling launched a fresh assault, but he only succeeded in inciting its fury, leading the creature to swallow him whole. Yet, inside the serpent's belly, there sat the very same alchemy furnace. Dao Ling was forced to utilize both his golden runes and the life essence liquid to stave off the python's relentless attacks. Unexpectedly, a single bite nearly cost Dao Ling his life, and he was only able to recover through the intervention of the green bamboo. The python remained intent on killing him, but when he accidentally brushed against the alchemy furnace, it miraculously assisted him in slaying the beast. The furnace then manifested countless techniques he could employ to finish off the python. He immediately began cultivating these methods, realizing they held the key to his breakthrough into the Yunling realm. However, the mysterious voice within Dao Ling urged him to continue his cultivation. It instructed him to refine his internal wood energy using the flames of the alchemy furnace. Even though wood and fire are fundamentally opposing elements, Dao Ling persisted in using them for his cultivation, which inadvertently caused the 10th floor to collapse. Regardless, he managed to secure the alchemy furnace before the structure fell. Upon emerging, Dao Ling discovered a pool of fresh blood. After making contact with the blood, he beheld a vision of the martial emperor. It was then that he realized the supreme treasure of this place had already been claimed by the martial emperor. However, after coming into contact with the golden veil ahead, the martial emperor vanished. It turned out that this was the true entrance to the 10th level. Yet the moment he touched it, he felt a terrifying aura emanating from within. At that same moment, Ling Quan arrived in pursuit. He was caught off guard by the runes surrounding Dao Ling, yet he still managed to dispatch Dao Ling's spirit beast with ease. Subsequently, Dao Ling was left wounded by his assault. Seizing the opportunity, Ling Quan unleashed his true form to strike at Dao Ling. In response, Dao Ling utilized the Thunderdrum heavenly sound to repel him. However, Ling Quan remained undeterred, intent on continuing the assault. He then unleashed a Dharma treasure against Dao Ling, only to see it completely disintegrated in the clash. This sent Ling Quan into a rage, but Dao Ling refused to yield, countering with a qilin manifestation. Even after Ling Quan defeated the qilin, Dao Ling struck again with the yin-yang palm, a technique Ling Quan barely managed to block. Ling Quan grew arrogant, assuming Dao Ling could not maintain this intensity for long, but he was caught off guard and shoved into the barrier. A dragon emerged from the barrier and swiftly dealt with him. Dao Ling, having sustained injuries, prioritized his recovery. He then set his sights on the 10th level, but the barrier proved too formidable. Dao Ling resolved to force his way through. Upon breaking through, his protective barrier was shattered. The dragon reappeared instantly, but the golden runes proved capable of slaying it. Dao Ling then steeled himself against the immense pressure to press onward. Suddenly, the true form of the Heaven and Earth Lord manifested. The Lord exerted overwhelming pressure, attempting to force Dao Ling into submission, but Dao Ling would not yield, pitting his own true form against that of the Lord. Against all odds, Dao Ling triumphed and ascended to the 10th level. With the pressure now abated, he released the white ferret. More importantly, he discovered a pool of life preservation liquid. A single drop was potent enough to sustain Dao Ling's cultivation. However, The white ferret sensed something and dashed ahead. After absorbing the liquid, Dao Ling brought out the green bamboo, allowing it to immerse itself in the life preservation liquid. When cracks began to form on its surface, Dao Ling grew concerned. Just as he moved to retrieve it, the green bamboo spoke out. "I am fine. I am merely undergoing a metamorphosis." Once the transformation was complete, the green bamboo grew drowsy, so Dao Ling placed it and the void jade to rest. Dao Ling then gathered the remaining life preservation liquid into the void jade. Realizing the white ferret was nowhere to be found, he set out to search for it. As it turned out, the white ferret had discovered a Dao Ling attempted to pull it free, but finding no success, he resorted to striking the boulder, yet it remained unmoved. While Dao Ling struggled, the Linglong Pagoda suddenly caused the sword to spring forth, dragging Dao Ling along with it. Subsequently, the pagoda surged forward to clash with the black sword. Dao Ling tried to intervene and restrain the Linglong Pagoda, but, unexpectedly, it expanded in size, forcing him to release his grip on the sword. The two artifacts traded blows with such intensity that they nearly wounded both him and the white ferret. Dao Ling cried out, "Both of you are my treasures. You must learn to coexist in harmony." To his dismay, this only caused the two artifacts to redirect their hostility toward him instead of each other. The sword even came dangerously close to castrating him. It pursued Dao Ling so relentlessly that he was forced to invoke his golden runes for protection, prompting the Linglong Pagoda to finally intercede. Just like that, Dao Ling had secured another powerful artifact. Unexpectedly, a tremor shook the 10th floor, and the sword seized him once more, dragging him away. At the same moment, outside the Tongling Tower, the runes inscribed upon the structure faded away. The students evacuated the tower as the spiritual energy within had completely dissipated. Meanwhile, members of the Wang clan reported to their patriarch that Ling Quan's life tablet had shattered, signifying that he was dead. However, the patriarch chose not to pursue an investigation into his death, deciding instead to order the clan to seal its gates. At that moment, Dao Ling released his grip on the sword. Fortunately, his spirit beast shielded him from a fatal fall, though the blade still hungered for his life. Dao Ling was forced to utilize his golden runes to suppress the weapon, and fortunately, the runes proved effective. A short while later, Lin Mu reported the events occurring at the Tongling Tower to the two elders. The academy dean ordered Lin Mu to seal off the Tongling Tower. Meanwhile, the vice dean expressed concern that the tower, now reduced to a mere relic, would no longer be able to attract students. Nevertheless, the dean simply replied that he would settle the matter later before departing. Dao Ling returned to his quarters. Despite his exhaustion, he consumed the life essence liquid to continue his cultivation. The Linglong Pagoda then transported him to its inner origin world, a place now barren and desolate due to its severe degradation. Thus, the most pressing matter was to restore its origin. Dao Ling attempted to use the life essence liquid in conjunction with the Linglong Pagoda to facilitate this restoration. However, his efforts yielded no results. To truly restore it, he realized he must align himself with the origin rather than attempting to force a recovery. To achieve this, Dao Ling needed to enhance his own physical resilience. Consequently, Dao Ling headed to the scripture library to see if he could master a new cultivation technique. The runes guided him toward a specific manual. However, the protective barrier surrounding it was immense, requiring him to exert all his strength to claim it. Unexpectedly, an arrogant upstart appeared and demanded that he surrender the manual. Dao Ling attempted to intimidate him by invoking the academy's rule against fighting, but his warning fell on deaf ears. With no other choice, the two engaged in a fierce confrontation. However, having just finished his previous bout, Dao Ling had no desire to engage with him further, so he simply turned to leave. Yet Ge Jingbo refused to let the matter rest, and in the end it was Lin Mu who had to intervene to halt the confrontation. At that moment, Dao Ling explained that he was merely acting in self-defense, but Ge Jingbo countered, claiming that he was merely engaging in fair competition. Upon hearing this, Dao Ling replied, "If you are so capable, then let us settle this outside in a proper duel, one-on-one." The moment the match began, Ge Jingbo unleashed an assault with his bow, but Dao Ling found himself unable to make contact with the projectiles. Forced into a retreat, Dao Ling had to evade the relentless arrows, eventually deciding to launch a counterattack against Ge Jingbo, even while the missiles were still in pursuit. After a short while, he successfully baited his opponent into taking the brunt of his own arrows, before finally striking him down. Refusing to admit defeat, Ge Jingbo continued his assault, forcing Dao Ling to finish him off with a blast of fire. Once the conflict was resolved, Lin Musu returned the cultivation manual to Dao Ling. Afterward, Lin Mu spoke to him of the Star River, explaining that, while it only opens on the night of the full moon, it contains a vast array of precious treasures. Upon hearing this, Dao Ling gifted Lin Mu a portion of life essence liquid, as a token of his gratitude. Before long, Dao Ling arrived at the Star River. Qian Yao was already waiting there, prepared to scavenge for artifacts. Suddenly, a star orb materialized, and Dao Ling soared into the air to claim it, only to be attacked by Qian Yao, who coveted the prize for herself. However, Dao Ling utilized his talisman runes to repel Qian Yao, successfully securing the star orb for himself. Discontent with this outcome, Qian Yao demanded the return of the star orb. Seeing her persistence, Dao Ling chose to offer her a measure of life essence liquid as a substitute for the orb. Qian Yao then proposed an alliance with Dao Ling to plunder further treasures, with the condition that whoever claims the prize keeps it. As they traveled, Qian Yao discovered a star orb, which subsequently became hers. Meanwhile, Dao Ling spotted a glowing boulder and shattered it with a single strike. To his satisfaction, it contained a rare, precious medicinal herb. Because Dao Ling did not share his find with her, she began venting her frustration by smashing nearby boulders. Seeing this, he felt compelled to give her one of the herbs. Curiously, Dao Ling asked, "Why risk your life to scavenge for treasures when your family is clearly wealthy?" Qian Yao explained that she had many sisters, and the internal competition for status was incredibly ruthless. Suddenly, sparks began to rain down from the sky, leading Qian Yao to exclaim, "These are divine flames!" Without a word, Dao Ling surged forward to begin absorbing the divine flames. Just then, a spirit bird plummeted from above. Dao Ling initially attempted to offer aid, but the creature rebuffed him. However, upon sensing the life essence liquid in his possession, it became instantly obedient. The spirit bird explained that it had flown upward in search of treasures, only to be struck down by the divine flames. Dao Ling subsequently decided to cooperate with the spirit bird to ascend toward the heavens in search of further riches. Yet the moment they climbed onto its back, the bird demanded, "I require another drop of life essence liquid before I take flight." As the spirit bird ascended, they were barraged by flames, forcing the two of them to protect it. Eventually, the spirit bird successfully navigated through a spatial rift, at which point Dao Ling's glazed fire acted as a guiding beacon for them all. Very quickly, the origin of the star flame was located. Without hesitation, Dao Ling employed the python to subdue the origin sword. Witnessing this, Qian Yao remarked that once Dao Ling successfully tamed it, he would be well on his way to becoming a grandmaster alchemist. At that very moment, an intruder arrived, forcing Ling Niao and Qian Yao to intercept him to prevent any disturbance to Dao Ling. Relying on his noble lineage, the man acted with utter arrogance, showing no regard for others. He unleashed a fire spirit to battle Ling Niao. Subsequently, even with Qian Yao and Ling Niao joining forces, they were unable to halt his advance. Just like that, he successfully absorbed Dao Ling's glazed flame. In that moment, Dao Ling was powerless against him, and when Ling Niao sought vengeance, she was held back by the protagonist. Dao Ling even begged for his life, which visibly troubled Qian Yao, but she did not realize that he was signaling her. It was all part of a larger scheme. Shortly after, the man approached the origin sword, but his fire spirit was promptly impaled by the blade. Only then did he realize that this sword was not something easily claimed. Meanwhile, Dao Ling was manipulating the glazed flame, which had drained the fire spirit's energy to evolve into the lotus spirit. It caused the fire spirit to detonate, and seizing the opportunity, it absorbed the full essence of the origin sword. Only then did the man realize he had been deceived. He attempted to confront Dao Ling, but realizing he could not outmaneuver the three of them, he ignited his own source energy to forge a weapon. The resulting blast nearly turned Ling Niao into a roasted chicken. When Dao Ling attempted to assist her, he was attacked, forcing him to utilize both the lotus and his runes for defense. At that juncture, Qian Yao was forced to activate her jade seal to restrain him, finally providing Dao Ling the opening to strike him down. Following the battle, he used the life essence liquid to treat Ling Niao's wounds. However, upon inspection, Qian Yao discovered that their adversary had managed to escape. Subsequently, Qian Yao noted that the jade seal had only 3 charges, and since one had been expended to save him, he owed her a debt. Ling Niao chimed in, suggesting Dao Ling repaid her with his hand in marriage, but he merely offered her a vial of life essence and promised to repay the favor in the future. As the trio departed, they sensed the manifestation of another treasure. Before they could proceed, they were ambushed, forcing the 3 of them to make an emergency descent. It was revealed to be a member of the ancient Divine Mountain clan. The woman callously struck Qian Yao aside to claim her place next to Dao Ling. She then compared herself to Qian Yao, demanding that the protagonist make a choice between them. Ling Niao desired to intervene, but Qian Yao refused to back down. At this point, Dao Ling intentionally lured the woman away so that Qian Yao and Ling Niao could search for treasures. But to his surprise, she demanded that Qian Yao scar her own face. When Qian Yao refused, the woman threatened to take Dao Ling's life instead. Consequently, he unleashed the flames of the lotus against her, though it proved to have little effect. Qian Yao then launched a counter-assault, but when the woman retaliated, Ling Niao and Dao Ling. At this moment, he instructed Gan Yao and the spirit bird to seek out the treasures first, while he remained behind to confront her. After Gan Yao departed, she launched an assault on Dao Ling. Yet she could not penetrate the protective runes surrounding him. She then unleashed a barrage of golden needles to encircle Dao Ling, but he showed no fear, charging straight toward her instead. She commanded the needles to strike, but they remained unable to pierce through his defensive runes. As she continued her onslaught, Dao Ling struck back decisively, knocking her unconscious with a single blow. Consequently, she was stripped of her golden wings, and he set off to reunite with Gan Yao's group. The area was in utter chaos, as countless cultivators scrambled to seize the treasures. Among them was an immensely powerful individual from the ancient Divine Mountain clan. Gan Yao was also embroiled in the fray, fighting to secure a treasure. The spirit bird, however, was struck away before it could even contribute. Subsequently, Dao Ling and the spirit bird joined forces to secure the spoils. Dao Ling intended for the spirit bird to act as a distraction so he could claim the treasure with ease. He remarked, "This task is perfectly suited for a noble ancient zither beast like you, spirit bird." Thus, the spirit bird obediently became the focal point of everyone's aggression. Though it was quickly sent tumbling to the ground, the creature refused to yield and persisted in its assault. Seizing the opportunity, Dao Ling successfully snatched the treasure. Once Gan Yao also secured her prize, the three attempted a hasty retreat, but the relentless barrage from the others overwhelmed their runes. Fortunately, Qingzhu provided protection for the entire group. However, one stubborn pursuer refused to give up, prompting Dao Ling to order the spirit bird to fly through a narrow rift. The spirit bird navigated through flames until it encountered a gargantuan fire, at which point it skirted around the obstacle. When the pursuer cleaved the flames in two, creating a sea of fire, the spirit bird seized the chance to fly back through the rift. By doing so, the group successfully shook off their persistent pursuer. Gan Yao then revealed that their attacker was none other than the young master of the Divine Mountain. She acknowledged that Dao Ling had saved her life during the encounter. Therefore, they considered their debts of life-saving reciprocated. Gan Yao gifted the spirit bird a drop of life essence fluid before departing. The bird then set its eyes on the hide Dao Ling had seized, which bore the ancient manifestation techniques. With a mere display of feigned affection, it managed to knock Dao Ling aside. Dao Ling had no choice but to offer the spirit bird another item to appease it. Afterward, Dao Ling made his way to the treasure pavilion to acquire further supplies. It was then that Xinyu realized Dao Ling had truly mastered the yin-yang palm. He demonstrated a fraction of his power to convince her, before inquiring about the origin of the yin-yang palm. As it turned out, it was an ancient cultivation technique. Mastering it would grant access to the remains of the yin-yang ancestor. Ziyu then presented him with a venerable token. He also presented his procurement list, but since the Heaven Silver Stone is currently unavailable, he was advised to return to the auction house in 20 days. Afterward, Dao Ling returned to his alchemy practice. This time, he successfully refined 2 medicinal pills. Without hesitation, he absorbed the first one to advance his cultivation. Once finished, he consumed the second pill immediately. Unexpectedly, upon opening his eyes, he was met with the vision of his mother. It turned out that Dao Ling had been reminiscing about his childhood. In those days, his mother, Ri Jun, was still by the side of him and his father. Although he was already 3 years old, an age when one could begin cultivation, he was always overcome by drowsiness. At that time, his father's sister sought out a renowned physician for Dao Ling. However, his parents had to travel a great distance to bring him to the doctor for an examination. And so, Dao Ling's parents brought him to the physician's residence. But not long after, Dao Ling's father was filled with rage, for someone had stolen his son's primordial essence. At this moment, Dao Ling awoke from his memories. He pondered his stolen essence, the tragedy of his father's crippled legs, and the mysterious disappearance of his mother. Dao Ling resolved to uncover the truth behind those events. Nevertheless, for now, he knew he must focus on his cultivation. At the same time, a young woman mistakenly entered Dao Ling's room, thinking it was her own. She was intercepted by a member of the ancient Taishan clan, who suspected she had some connection to Dao Ling. Seeing her remain silent, the man disdainfully shoved her aside. Enraged by this show of contempt, she attempted to prevent him from entering the room, but she was no match for his strength. Just then, Dao Ling appeared. It was only then that she realized she had gone to the wrong place, while the man demanded that Dao Ling surrender the parchment containing the cultivation manual. When Dao Ling refused, the man launched an attack to seize it by force. He even employed an extermination formation to coerce him into handing it over. However, the girl possessed the knowledge to dismantle such a formation. She only required time to locate the formation on. Dao Ling attempted to strike the formation himself, but the force was rebounded back onto him. The man then manipulated the extermination formation to strike at them both. Dao Ling had no choice but to summon his Qilin to withstand the onslaught, buying the girl the time she needed to find the formation's weak point. Quickly, she identified the eye and shattered it, though it lacked the power to fully collapse the barrier until Dao Ling delivered a decisive strike to break the formation. He then slew his assailant, though the effort left him suffering from internal injuries. Regardless, he offered the young woman a human tear pill as an apology for involving her in the conflict. When she refused to accept it, Dao Ling revealed he was an alchemist, and could easily refine more. It was then that Dao Ling remembered the auction at the treasure pavilion, and the two hurried off to arrive before it concluded. Along the way, she introduced herself as Shi. At this moment, the two encountered a group from the Fire God's sect, among whom was Ling Yu, Shi's close sister. Thus, Dao Ling began to travel alongside the Fire God sect. Later, after Shi inquired, it was revealed that one of them was Wu Junming, the man who had been rejected by Ling Yu. However, because he possessed a highly esteemed token, the group had allowed him to join them. Subsequently, Shi recognized her close friend, Xuan Yue, working as an attendant at the treasure-gathering pavilion. Out of embarrassment, Xuan Yu claimed she had been invited there to assist the pavilion. Shortly after, Ling Yu reminded Shi that the Star Spirit Hall was preparing to open. It was only then that Dao Ling learned of the existence of this hall, and he decided he would go there to refine elixirs. At this point, Junming began boasting about his talented brother, the Martial Emperor. Soon, the auction commenced with a piece of black iron, starting at a price of 5 million. However, the broken sword in Dao Ling's possession reacted to that piece of black iron, so he decided to purchase it. Upon hearing this, the others mocked him, claiming Dao Ling was nothing more than an ignorant fool. It was then that Ling Yu realized Dao Ling was also capable of refining weaponry. Upon learning that Dao Ling was self-taught in alchemy, she gifted him a guidebook on pill refinement. At that moment, two lackeys from the Wu family attempted to provoke Dao Ling, only to be soundly defeated by him. Consequently, they were expelled by Junming. Next was the auction for the Heaven Silverstone, but Junming insisted on competing with Dao Ling for it at any cost. Unexpectedly, Dao Ling drove the price up to 60 million, and just like that, Dao Ling secured the Heaven Silverstone. However, when the Silverstone was brought to Dao Ling, Xuan Yu declared, "The Silverstone can only be purchased with gold coins. It cannot be traded for other items." With that, Dao Ling produced his worship token, demanding to exchange several items for gold coins. But Junming scoffed, claiming that Dao Ling's token was a forgery. Naturally, Dao Ling refuted Junming's accusation, but fueled by rage, Junming challenged Dao Ling to a duel. At that very moment, Xing Yu appeared and confirmed that Dao Ling's token was authentic, revealing that she had given it to him herself. To everyone's shock, Junming even dared to threaten Ziyu, insisting that Dao Ling was unworthy of such a token. At this juncture, Ling Yu led Xinxi away, which finally forced Junming to cease his hostility. Afterward, Xing Yu remarked, "The treasure-gathering pavilion can still prosper even without the Wu family." Therefore, Dao Ling had no need to feel any remorse. A short while later, Dao Ling returned to find Ye Yun waiting for him. It turned out that the dean wished to speak with him. Quickly, at that moment, Ye Yun took his leave, and the two other elders retreated, though it was clear they held no favor for Dao Ling. Shortly after, the dean requested that Dao Ling enter the Star Palace to retrieve the Star Divine liquid. With that, he revealed the Star Divine Stone, the source of energy that has sustained the entire academy for countless generations. However, its power is currently waning, necessitating the divine liquid to restore the divine stone. Dao Ling, however, could not fathom why the dean had entrusted this task specifically to him. It turned out that the river containing the divine liquid exerts immense pressure, and only someone possessing a golden body like his could withstand it. Thus, Dao Ling agreed to assist the dean in his quest for the divine liquid. A short while later, he arrived at the stone stele to inscribe his name and claim his reward. He utilized his own golden body to carve his name into the stone with his bare fists. After marking his name, Dao Ling departed, leaving the onlookers in shock, as his name surpassed that of Wu Di. A member of the Wu family witnessed this and immediately rushed back to report the news to Wu Di. He did not know the full name of Dao Ling, only that the name etched upon the stele consisted of a single character, Dao. Nevertheless, Wu Di paid this matter no heed. Meanwhile, Dao Ling had returned to open the reward granted by the stone stele. To his surprise, it contained only a withered ginseng root. He decided to submerge it into his life protection liquid to see what would happen. As expected, it transformed into a blue lotus, which then merged into his body. Dao Ling then entered his origin world to inspect it, finding that it had accelerated the rate of his origin recovery. Witnessing this, Dao Ling voluntarily allowed it to absorb his spiritual energy. Several days later, the students arrived at the Star Palace to collect medicinal supplies. At that moment, the young master of an ancient clan also arrived. The elephant accompanying him immediately sought out Dao Ling, but upon failing to find him, the young master insulted the entire human race, calling them a pack of cowards. Unexpectedly, he was immediately struck by a mysterious man. Thus, the two engaged in a fierce and blood-boiling confrontation. At the same time, Gan Ling and Gan Dao arrived on the scene. Moments later, members of the Wu family appeared, though Wu Di was not among them. Tam Nunyong had provided the 4 members of the Wu family with a token containing the aura of Dao, intending for them to slay Dao Ling within the Star Palace. Just then, the portal to the Star Palace manifested, prompting everyone to quickly pass through the gate. By the time everyone had cleared the entrance, Xing Xing and Dao Ling finally arrived, having both overslept. Upon stepping through the portal, the two found themselves within a formation. The formation transported everyone to the palace gates, yet no one present possessed the strength to open them. Xuan Yu caught sight of the duo and introduced them to her cousin, Chen Hai, a cultivator who had already reached the Qi creation realm. He immediately demanded that the two address him as senior brother. Xuan Yu then invited them to join their party, and Dao Ling, not dwelling on the matter, promptly agreed. At that moment, the young master appeared once more, effortlessly sweeping aside everyone in his path. He then proposed that the experts present join forces to open the gate. However, only the beast kin stepped forward to join him, causing him to hold the human race in even greater contempt. He then unleashed a divine light to scan the crowd for any hidden powerhouses. Fearing exposure, Dao Ling urged Chen Hai to step forward as the representative of the humans to open the gate. The young master insisted on testing Chen Hai's strength first. Only after deeming it sufficient did he allow him to assist with the gate. Thus, through their collective efforts, the five of them finally managed to force the palace doors open. But as the gate parted, a nameless cultivator rushed forward in his greed, only to be utterly obliterated by the young master. Only after the initial group had stepped inside were the others permitted to enter. Once within, Dao Ling's group split up to search for medicinal herbs. Xuan Yu attempted to accompany Dao Ling, but he departed before he could even hear her request. Dao Ling harvested every herb he crossed paths with, while Xi discovered a 60,000-year-old cleansing marrow flower. However, its protective barrier was far sturdier than the others, requiring Xi to exert all her strength to break through. To her surprise, no sooner had she plucked the flower than Xuan Yu appeared. The woman immediately demanded that Xi hand over the cleansing marrow flower, and when Xi refused, she accused her of being narrow-minded. Seeing this, Xi tossed her a medicinal pill. Yet, after accepting the pill, Xuan Yue still sought to plunder the cleansing marrow flower, and without a moment's hesitation, she launched an attack on Xi. Before the blow could land, Dao Ling appeared to shield Xi from harm. Chen Hai then emerged, declaring that since it was he who enabled Dao Ling and Xi to enter the palace, they were obligated to offer up whatever Xuan Yu desired. Dao Ling naturally refused, mocking him for his shameless behavior. Enraged, Chen Hai struck at Xi, forcing Dao Ling to manifest his golden body to protect her. Realizing he was not yet a match for Chen Hai, Dao Ling used his broken sword to parry the strikes, and seized the opportunity to whisk Xi away in retreat. Nevertheless, the two pursuers remained relentless in their pursuit of the cleansing marrow flower. Meanwhile, the broken sword guided Dao Ling to the pavilion of fate, though the treasures within had long since lost their spiritual essence. Spotting a hairpin, Xi placed it in her hair. Seeing her struggling with the accessory, Dao Ling reached out to secure it for her. It was then that he discovered the chair he sat upon exuded an aura of the great Daio. It was a supreme treasure, yet no one else had recognized its value. Xing urged him to cultivate immediately, promising to stand guard while he did so. It was at this exact moment that Xuan Yu caught up to them. As Xi watched over Dao Ling in his meditative state, Xuan Yu materialized from the shadows. She immediately struck at Xi, but her assault was blocked. Frustrated, she shifted her focus to attack Dao Ling. Though Xi was wounded while defending him, Xuan Yue refused to abandon her assault. Thus, Thi was forced to erect a defensive barrier. After the woman unleashed a flurry of spirit energy attacks, she began to mock Thi, labeling her a man-chaser. Furthermore, she sought to disfigure Thien's face, believing that if she were marred, Dao Ling would no longer favor her. By then, the woman had shattered the protective barrier. But before she could carry out the disfigurement, Dao Ling awakened. Without hesitation, he incinerated her into ash. Following this, it was Thi's turn to cultivate. However, from the spot where Xuan Yu perished, Dao Ling detected an exceptionally powerful aura. Once Thi concluded her session, Dao Ling struck the wall to investigate what lay beyond. As expected, a hidden passage was revealed. Dao Ling retrieved a chair, and together with Thi, they ventured inside to explore. They soon discovered the origin spirit spring within the chamber. Recognizing that remaining too close to the pool was hazardous, he provided Thi with a chair, instructing her to cultivate at a safer distance. Meanwhile, the entirety of the aura Dao Ling absorbed was being siphoned away by the Green Lotus. When he eventually awoke, he observed Thia's sword draining her vitality. He promptly struck the blade away and rushed to support Thi as she lost consciousness. Dao Ling then channeled the surrounding essence into her, which allowed her to regain her senses. Thi explained, "This is a demonic blade, nourished by my own vitality." Upon hearing this, Dao Ling advised her to discard it. But Thi insisted. "It is an heirloom of the Lin clan." Because the situation remained perilous, she had stubbornly held on to the marrow cleansing flower, knowing it could replenish her depleted essence. However, since Dao Ling had saved her, the flower was no longer necessary, and she wished to gift it to him. Dao Ling graciously accepted this gesture of kindness from Tia Ti. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the cavern, forcing Dao Ling to embrace Ti Ti to shield her from harm. Following the disturbance, the two decided to investigate the source of the tremors. It turned out that a fierce skirmish was underway, with participants vying for possession of jade tablets. The arrogant young master treated human lives as mere refuse, slaughtering anyone in his path. Disgusted by his actions, several others joined forces to confront the scion of the ancient clan. Seeing that the jade tablets emanated a vast amount of energy, Dao Ling charged into the fray, leaving Fi Fi outside to provide support. Dao Ling set his sights on a jade tablet, but was immediately intercepted by the giant elephant. Despite this, he managed to seize the prize. Unexpectedly, Qian Ling launched an assault on Dao Ling, forcing him to contend with two opponents simultaneously. Realizing he was currently outmatched, Dao Ling attempted to flee with Tia Ti, but they were struck down before they could escape far. It transpired that Chen Hai had tracked them down. In that critical moment, Ti Ti mounted her sword. Afterward, he utilized the cultivation jade slip to enter the origin world. At this moment, the Green Lotus was still frantically absorbing his spiritual energy. Unexpectedly, he managed to comprehend the jade slip and used his fist to shatter the void. Dao Ling decided to strike with all his might, and in reality, he succeeded in smashing a massive boulder to pieces. Soon after, he heard the cry of the spirit bird and set out with Xin Xinai to locate it. At that time, the spirit bird was being hunted down by that young master. It had already been struck by an attack from his opponent, but still attempted a counter-assault, only to be battered and brought down to the ground in the end. Just before the elephant could crush it, Dao Ling arrived to rescue the spirit bird, even feeding it several life force pills to heal its wounds. Upon seeing Dao Ling, the bird chirped, "Young master, you had better concede now." To their surprise, the man grew even more enraged, forcing Dao Ling to engage both him and his companion in battle. As it turns out, the spirit bird's confidence stemmed from the 5 elements flag array. It immediately activated the formation to entrap both foes. The young master could only manage to unlock his legs, while the elephant struggled in vain to break through the formation. Observing this, Xingxi also laid down a sword array to assault the two of them. The spirit bird then sent in a few birds to add to the chaos, leaving the young master with no choice but to extract the elephant's inner core to shatter the formation. In the ensuing blast, the spirit bird was sent flying, and Xi suffered a backlash from her own formation. Seeing this, Dao Ling lured the young master toward a nearby river. This was the Starry Great River, which possessed immense pressure. He intended to exploit this pressure to shake off the young master. Unexpectedly, he stumbled upon Ling Yu. But at that exact moment, the Green Lotus began ravenously absorbing the spiritual energy of the area, causing Dao Ling to suffer a depletion of his own strength. After the Green Lotus consumed all the spiritual energy, it sought to absorb the Godstone lying ahead. Consequently, Ling Yu attempted to delay the short-legged young master, but she was no match for him, and was quickly defeated. Even so, he showed no intention of sparing her, forcing Dao Ling to intervene, which diverted the young master's aggression toward him. Dao Ling was soon wounded by his opponent, but Ling Yu managed to treat his injuries. The young master then commanded his divine beast to attack, forcing Dao Ling to use his fist aura to strike it down. At that very moment, the Green Lotus finished absorbing the Godstone, revealing an innate grudge chi hidden within. The grudge chi promptly consumed the divine beast. Meanwhile, Dao Ling remained unharmed, protected by the Green Lotus. To make matters more extraordinary, the Green Lotus proceeded to absorb the grudge chi itself. In the end, he obtained 2 items that fell from the Godstone, while the stone itself contained the laws of heaven and earth. Originally, the grudge chi was untouchable, but it vanished the moment Dao Ling laid his hand upon it. He offered it to Ling Yu, but knowing she lacked the necessary cultivation level to harness it, she declined. As Dao Ling cleared the area, he discovered a small horn and decided to keep it with him. A short while later, the starry god fluid manifested, pulling Dao Ling into the origin. There, the Green Lotus began emanating the breath of chaos, prompting Dao Ling to absorb this energy to further his cultivation. Afterwards, he attempted to break through to the Qi creation realm, but, unexpectedly, his true form manifested. Dao Ling realized he had to open its acupuncture points to proceed. Thus, he struck his own true form to forcibly open the acupoints. At that moment, the Pangu banner appeared and launched an assault against him. It pierced through his Qilin manifestation to strike at him directly. However, Dao Ling refused to submit and persisted in manifesting the Qilin. Before he could react, the Pangu banner crushed the manifestation, causing it to detonate. Subsequently, he was imprisoned within the Pangu banner, and Dao Ling attempted to use his yin-yang palm to force the banner to reveal itself, only to be struck down by its might. Consequently, he utilized the Void First to teleport into close proximity and mount an attack. In the end, Dao Ling managed to suppress the Pangu banner. He then continued his cultivation, using the divine elixirs he had obtained. Meanwhile, a radiant aura began to manifest around his physical body. A short time later, Dao Ling awoke and departed with Ling Yu to search for Xin Shi. Simultaneously, Qing Yifei had just emerged from the water when he spotted Dao Ling and Ling Yu approaching. He rushed toward Dao Ling to demand a duel, prompting Dao Ling to instruct Ling Yu to leave first. Being the nephew of the Vice Academy head, he intended to seize the divine spirit fluid that Dao Ling had discovered in the Great River. Dao Ling firmly refused to surrender it, and the two immediately engaged in combat. At that point, he unleashed the glazed fire, but his opponent possessed a body resistant to all flames. At the same time, the spirit bird and Xi Shi were searching for Dao Ling when they spotted Ling Yu, and the group hurried to rescue him. Chen Hai was also searching for Dao Ling when he noticed the techniques being used by Yifei. Believing Yifei was fighting someone else, he drew near to see if there were any spoils to be looted. By this time, Dao Ling was struggling to hold his ground against Yifei, and he forcibly dragged his opponent into his own manifestation world to gain an advantage. However, because his opponent's cultivation level was superior, Dao Ling had to exert immense effort to suppress him. Unexpectedly, Yifei burned his own life essence to launch a final strike. As a result, both were expelled from the inner world. But fortunately, the spirit bird managed to catch Dao Ling just in time. Meanwhile, Yifei was eliminated by Chen Hai, who sought to seize the title of #1 genius of Qingzhou for himself. After that, he stripped all items from Yifei's body and departed. A while later, Dao Ling consumed a medicinal elixir and regained consciousness. At that moment, Ling Yu did not dare assist in circulating his internal energy to heal his wounds, so she could only provide him with more elixirs. Dao Ling then began to circulate his energy to heal, while Ling Yu and Xin Shi went outside to keep watch. In the meantime, the spirit bird wandered around, looking for any remaining treasures. It spotted the Wu family clan heading toward Dao Ling's location. Consequently, the spirit bird rushed back to alert Ling Yu and Xi Shi. Very quickly, Chunming and his subordinates arrived at the entrance. He openly demanded that Ling Yu accompany him if she wished to remain safe within the palace halls. At that moment, his command token signaled the entrance to the cavern. Realizing this, Xin Shi moved to block Tuan Ming, preventing him from entering. It was then that he realized the Dao he had been searching for was none other than Dao Ling. Even so, the spirit bird remained resolute in denying him entry, as did Ling Yu and Xi Shi. With his patience exhausted, he issued a cold command: "Kill them all!" Immediately, two of Tuan Ming's subordinates launched an assault on Ling Yu, Xi Shi, and the spirit bird, while Tuan Min seized the opening to enter the cave in pursuit of Dao Ling. However, before he could fully enter, Dao Ling stepped out to meet him. At that time, Dao Ling remained oblivious to the fact that the Vol clan was hunting him down, and he remained unconcerned. When Tuan Min declared that his mission was to secure Dao Ling's head, the latter merely chuckled, wondering how a faction as formidable as the Vol clan could be so fixated on someone as insignificant as himself. Provoked by this mockery, Tuan Ming flew into a rage and lunged at Dao Ling. As expected, his strength was considerable. He managed to pressure Dao Ling in the initial exchange, forcing Dao Ling to draw him into his own manifestation realm. Outside, the spirit bird and his companions successfully neutralized the two attackers from the Vol clan. However, because both Dao Ling and Tuan Ming had entered the manifestation realm, the trio could only remain outside and wait. Within the realm, Tuan Ming was no longer a match for Dao Ling, yet he possessed a king physique that allowed him to easily slaughter Dao Ling's spirit serpent. But since this was Dao Ling's own manifestation, he easily caused Tuan Ming's king physique to dissipate into nothingness. Unexpectedly, upon escaping the manifestation, Tuan Min's body hardened into a statue of clay. It turned out that the king physique was something he had stolen from another. Once stripped of it, his life force withered, and he perished. Witnessing this, Dao Ling was struck by a chilling realization. Was his own foundation also destined to be stolen by another? Following this, Dao Ling's group proceeded toward the gathering point. Upon arrival, Xi Shi caught sight of Lin Mu and rushed toward him, sparking a flicker of jealousy within Dao Ling. Both the spirit bird and Ling Yu noticed the interaction. Fortunately, Lin Mu and Xi Shi were siblings, leaving Dao Ling's hopes intact. With that cleared up, Lin Mu joined Dao Ling's party. Meanwhile, Ken Lin and Wu Heng arrived at the site where Tuan Min had fallen. Wu Heng realized Tuan Ming had been killed by Dao Ling, but instead of recovering the remains, he callously shattered the clay statue. After uttering a few words, he and Can Jiao set out to hunt down Dao Ling. At that same time, cultivators were gathering around the spirit lake, prompting Dao Ling's group to disperse and find a suitable location. Hidden within him, Dao Ling's green lotus began to greedily absorb the surrounding spirit energy. The suction power was so immense that, in the blink of an eye, it had drained the entire lake dry. Everyone present was bewildered, as such a phenomenon had never occurred in the spirit river's history. Even Lin Mu sensed that something was amiss. Dao Ling, though fully aware of the cause, dared not admit his role in the disturbance. Consequently, the spirit bird dove into the depths of the spirit river to investigate. Suddenly, a malevolent demonic aura erupted from the river, assaulting everyone in the vicinity. Even Ling Yu was struck. Falling, Dao Ling immediately stepped in to help Ling Diao block the demonic energy, and together, they joined forces to purge the surrounding malice. At that same moment, Shi Shi attempted to treat Ling Yu, but her efforts proved futile. Lin Mu remarked that Ling Yu was likely beyond saving. Consequently, Dao Ling made the decision to attempt the treatment himself. To everyone's astonishment, the Green Lotus possessed the ability to absorb the demonic energy trapped within Ling Yu's body. Witnessing this, Shi Shi could not help but praise him as a master alchemist of the highest caliber. Upon hearing that Dao Ling could extract the demonic corruption, the surrounding crowd begged him to save the others who had also been afflicted. Dao Ling agreed to assist, acknowledging that he bore a degree of responsibility for the emergence of the demonic energy that had brought such suffering to them all. Just then, Gan Ling and Wu Xing arrived at the scene. However, upon discovering that the target they were pursuing was occupied with saving lives, they chose to hold their ground and allow him to finish the treatment. Wu Xing understood that to intervene now would only incite the wrath of everyone present. Once Dao Ling had finished healing the victims, he and Lin Mu dove into the spirit river to investigate the mysteries hidden beneath the surface. Seeing this, the two pursuers also decided to follow them down. Shortly after, Dao Ling and Lin Moon reached the depths of the lake. To their surprise, they discovered an ancient battlefield housing a golden statue. Just as Dao Ling moved to claim the golden statue, he was intercepted by Wu Xing. Seeing a member of the Wu family triggered Dao Ling's sharp tongue, and before long, the two clashed in a fierce confrontation. Meanwhile, Gan Ling engaged Lin Mu in combat, but was swiftly defeated, prompting Lin Mu to rush to Dao Ling's aid. Despite the distraction, Wu Xing continued his relentless assault on Dao Ling, striking down his Qilin manifestation and causing him to suffer a severe backlash. Left with no other choice, Dao Ling used the golden statue to shield himself, and proceeded to absorb it, a feat that significantly bolstered his own strength. On the other side of the fray, Lin Mu thoroughly subdued Gan Ling. The two companions departed together, but they inadvertently wandered into a trial ground, which caused them to be separated as they drifted onto different paths. Dao Ling found himself inside a cavern of fire, where he chanced upon a fire spirit. Sensing the immense spiritual energy radiating from the fire spirit, Dao Ling shifted his focus toward capturing it. As he ventured deeper, he spotted a red sunflower and hurried to harvest it, only to be repelled by a powerful barrier. He was forced to shatter the protective seal before he could successfully secure the red sunflower. Following this, a jade manual manifested before him, which he promptly claimed. Suddenly, a phoenix materialized and merged directly into Dao Ling's body. At this moment, he came under attack by crimson flames and sought to meditate to regain control, but his adversary appeared once more. The attacker attempted to drain Dao Ling's spiritual essence using a Dao artifact, only to have the relic shattered by Dao Ling's counterstrike. The enemy then launched an assault, but Dao Ling retaliated, incinerating him with a torrent of flames. He proceeded to obliterate the man's dragon spirit, yet the flames within his own body continued to surge uncontrollably. Simultaneously, within his internal origin world, Dao Ling was being consumed by the fire, to the point of being bound by its heat. Fortunately, the Green Lotus intervened, narrowly saving his life. Nevertheless, the relentless assault of the flames continued, threatening to bring the very foundations of Dao Ling's inner world to the brink of collapse. Thus, he exerted all his strength to break the chains, while Qinglian transformed into a sword for him to wield. As Dao Ling fought, his memories drifted back to the time his parents took him to seek a cure. The renowned physician introduced by Dao Yan was none other than Wu Wangdong. Because of his great reputation at the time, Dao Ling's parents placed their full trust in him. It turned out that the Dao clan had once helped Wu Wangdong in the past, and his willingness to treat Dao Ling was meant to repay that old favor. However, after examining Dao Ling and sensing an ancient aura within him, he carried the boy into his cellar for a more thorough investigation. Subsequently, Wu Wangdong summoned Wu Sanyang to join them. It was revealed that Dao Ling possessed the primordial sacred body, a constitution capable of advancing one's cultivation to the very pinnacle of existence. Consequently, Wu intended to extract the primordial sacred body from Dao Ling. He then used the guise of medical treatment to send Dao Ling away in search of the divine soul-melting liquid. Yet little did he know that Wu Wangdong intended to use this sacred liquid to drain Dao Ling's primordial essence. Returning to the present, he broke through the encirclement of flames and proceeded to strike the main body to enhance his cultivation. This time, a massive bell appeared. Dao Ling attacked it, only to be repelled and trapped within the structure of the bell. Following this, it launched a sonic assault, shattering his sword. However, the fragments levitated and coalesced into a command token. Empowered by the strength of this token, Dao Ling controlled the star brilliance to strike from outside the bell, while he simultaneously used the phoenix to attack from within. Just like that, the bell was shattered into pieces. Afterward, he glanced at Wu Xing and wondered, who could Wu Wanggong have given his constitution to? Saying this, Dao Ling stepped outside and happened upon Lin Mu, who was wounded. He immediately offered him an elixir and helped him to safety. He then went to look for Xinxi and her group, only to encounter Ling Yu, who hurriedly pulled him away because something had happened to Xinxi. It turned out that the Wu clan was relentlessly attacking her and the spirit bird. But before they could finish their objective, Dao Ling arrived. He intimidated the group by revealing that he had killed Jun Ming and Wu Xing, and then he casually struck down a man named Wu Lian. When she tried to flee, he blocked her path. She immediately claimed to be the granddaughter of Wu Wangdong, warning him not to touch her. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Dao Ling's desire to kill Wu Lian grew even stronger. Nevertheless, he kept her alive to interrogate her about the past of the Dao clan. From her own lips, Dao Ling learned that his father had once fought the Wu clan with all his might, yet he could not defeat the Wu ancestor, leading to the sealing of their clan. Upon hearing this, Dao Ling immediately incinerated Wu Lian. Afterward, the spirit bird brought him the woman's storage bag, but Dao Ling took only the longevity vine, leaving the rest to the spirit bird and Xinxi. At this moment, the Dao sound appeared, and the other three took the opportunity to cultivate. Dao Ling was left to walk toward the Dao sound alone, yet he rejected the indoctrination offered by the elder. Subsequently, Dao Ling used his primordial spirit to destroy the path created by the Dao sound, an act that left him astonished, as he had only just discovered how to manifest his primordial spirit. Just then, another individual sought to strike Dao Ling. It turned out to be Gan Yao. Upon realizing his true identity as Dao, she immediately demanded a contest of skill, yet she was quickly subdued by Dao Ling. Gan Yao was forced to surrender a silver beast hide to secure her release. Subsequently, Dao Ling exchanged a jade token for the hide, as he took no pleasure in accepting free handouts. Unexpectedly, once the trade was complete, Gan Yao turned hostile, claiming the jade token had lost its spiritual essence. Regardless, she had no way to reclaim the beast hide. Thus, Gan Yao leveraged a secret to persuade Dao Ling to accompany her into the Wuliang sect. The secret was the existence of a unique musical score hidden within the scripture library. Having reached an accord, the two entered the Wuliang sect. Upon their arrival, Gan Yao discovered a massive pile of spirit stones. Regrettably, these stones had long since lost their spiritual energy. A single light touch from Gan Yao was enough to reduce them to dust. Shortly after, Dao Ling discovered the patterns of a spirit gathering formation beneath the floor. He promptly activated it and instructed Gan Yao to destroy the formation's core. Instantly, the floor cracked open, releasing a surge of spiritual energy, and while several stones appeared, Gan Yao seized them all for herself. At that moment, one stone hatched into a phoenix. Naturally, the creature belonged to Gan Yao, leaving Dao Ling with only a single black stone. As Dao Ling pursued Gan Yao, he uncovered the Five Elements sword. Gan Yao had read ancient records describing the Five Elements sword as a heaven-defying spirit treasure of immense power. Even so, Dao Ling attempted to subdue it, only to be nearly decimated by the red blade mere moments later. Fortunately, Gan Yao utilized her heavenly seal, seizing the chance to drag him to safety. However, Dao Ling's physical form could no longer endure the strain, forcing Gan Yao to drag him along. She ultimately cast him into the pool of spiritual energy. Watching him consume nearly all the energy within the pool, Gan Yao descended into the waters to bathe and absorb whatever remained. Meanwhile, Dao Ling was engaged in an assault on his own origin essence. A sudden sandstorm descended, encircling Dao Ling. He was forced to soar into the sky to evade the onslaught. Yet, the sands coalesced, forming a cage to trap him. Dao Ling was forced to employ his tempering flames to break free. Returning to the physical realm, Dao Ling awoke, marveling at the power he had just attained. He intended to depart, only to discover the exit was sealed. Turning back, he found Gan Yao still soaking in the pool, leaving him no choice but to sit near the entrance and continue his cultivation. Upon completing his session, Dao Ling sensed that something was amiss with Gan Yao, and he rushed to her side. Unexpectedly, Gan Yao awoke and misinterpreted his actions, believing he intended to take advantage of her. Consequently, therefore, Dao Ling had to rely on their current alliance to keep Gan Yao at bay. Following that, both of them traveled to the inner sanctum of the Wuliang sect. However, Dao Ling could not force the gates open, and as others were approaching, the two were forced into hiding. To their surprise, the mysterious girl opened the door with effortless ease. Dao Ling realized then that the girl had discovered them, but chose to act as if they were not there. Thus, they followed her, and discovered that the chamber contained a storehouse of medicinal elixirs. Dao Ling caught the scent of elixirs, but upon inspection, Gan Yao found that they had all lost their spiritual essence. Relying on the lingering scent, he located a vial containing a gold elixir, and true to his intuition, Dao Ling yielded it to Gan Yao. However, she split the gold elixir in two, insisting they each take a half. As they proceeded to another location, they crossed paths with Gan Ling and Wu Xing. Turning back a few moments earlier, Gan Ling had sensed Gan Yao's aura. Consequently, she bribed Wu Xing to eliminate Gan Yao, promising him a status even higher than the Wu Emperor once she ascended the throne. Returning to the present, Gan Ling immediately mocked Gan Yao for choosing Dao Ling as her companion. But Gan Yao retorted, calling her nothing more than a lapdog for the Wu clan. Wu Xing launched an immediate attack on Gan Yao, but Dao Ling intercepted the blow. Just as Dao Ling prepared to slay Wu Xing, the latter produced a command token of the Wu clan, claiming it would grant Dao Ling free passage into their household. Dao Ling changed his demeanor toward Wu Xing, though Gan Yao remained unconvinced that he would truly spare the man. Gan Ling then declared that Gan Yao was underestimating Wu Xing's standing within the Wu clan. Emboldened, Wu Xing ordered Dao Ling to seize Gan Yao and bring her to him as a concubine. Hearing this, Gan Yao charged toward Wu Xing, but Dao Ling stood in her way. At that moment, Dao Ling signaled to Gan Yao that he was merely feigning his intent. The two began to act out a charade, staging a battle as if their alliance had crumbled. But when he pushed Gan Yao toward Wu Xing to strike, the two enemies saw through the ruse. As it turned out, neither Wu Xing nor Gan Ling had ever believed that Dao Ling would truly betray Gan Yao. Dao Ling struck at Wu Xing with lightning, only for his opponent to shroud the entire room in his own lightning field. When Dao Ling erected a runic shield, Wu Xing launched a direct assault. Dao Ling summoned the Qilin to withstand the blow before delivering a finishing strike with his bare fist. Simultaneously, the sisters Gan Yao and Gan Ling engaged one another using their primordial spirits. Nearby, Dao Ling pulled Wu Xing into his own manifestation realm, where they battled even more fiercely than before. The two then burst back into the outer chamber to continue their struggle. Ultimately, Wu Xing was defeated and had his royal constitution drained by Dao Ling. In his weakened state, he was reduced to a mere clay statue. At this moment, Dao Ling heard Gan Ling state that members of the royal family are permitted to slaughter one another. Consequently, when Gan Yao locked eyes with him, she urged him to destroy Gan Ling's physical form. However, he was an outsider. Killing Gan Ling would mean offending the entire Great Gan imperial dynasty. Seeing that he truly intended to end her, she pleaded for her life, offering him all her treasures in exchange. Dao Ling then demanded that she surrender her spatial storage item first. With no other choice, she told him to take the bracelet from her wrist. Soon after, Gan Ling and Gan Yao returned to their own bodies. At that moment, Dao Ling restrained Gan Ling, allowing Gan Yao to strike her down. By doing so, he would avoid directly offending the great Gan royal family himself. Gan Yao slapped Gan Ling across the face to silence her incessant rambling. Realizing her predicament, she activated her profound yin body, yet she was unexpectedly suppressed by Dao Ling's yin-yang body. Gan Ling then caused the structure to collapse, using the chaos as an opportunity to flee. Left with no other options, the two had no choice but to follow the mysterious girl. She had to unlock 9 gates to finally reach the Crimson Horn. To their surprise, the artifact flew toward Dao Ling of its own accord, forcing him and Gan Yao to flee for their lives. They were quickly overtaken, compelling Gan Yao to activate a void formation to teleport them to safety. Afterward, Dao Ling explained to Gan Yao that the horn had sought him out because he already possessed another piece, causing them to resonate with one another. He even offered to gift one to Gan Yao, but fearing its mysterious influence, she refused. She then instructed him to use Gan Ling's bracelet to navigate the void formation. From a distance, Gan Yao caught sight of a yin-yang formation. It turned out a demonic shadow was engaged in a fierce battle against the martial emperor. Gan Yao observed that the martial emperor was utilizing the secret techniques of the Dao clan. She remarked that the Wu family had plundered a significant amount of artifacts from the Dao clan in the past. The demonic shadow attempted to strike the martial emperor but failed, eventually being repelled by the emperor's soul energy. Realizing the demonic shadow was immortal, the martial emperor resorted to the yin-yang formation to destroy it. Gan Yao heaped praise upon the martial emperor, hailing him as the pinnacle of the younger generation. Dao Ling, however, remained unmoved, convinced that he would soon surpass the martial emperor in strength. Moments later, the heaven-measuring finger, also known as the emperor's seal, appeared. It tore open a spatial rift, which Dao Ling seized as an opportunity to return to the Star Academy. Dao Ling presented the Star God liquid to the headmaster in exchange for the seal hidden within the archives, and the headmaster led him to retrieve it. However, the defensive barrier protecting the artifact was too formidable, requiring the headmaster to assist him. Qingzhu appeared in the form of a young girl, though she remained timid in the presence of the headmaster. The headmaster advised Dao Ling to let Qingzhu rest, ensuring she would have the strength to endure the coming lightning tribulation. Subsequently, Dao Ling prepared to return home to consult his father regarding the Wu family. However, Chen Hai had already framed Dao Ling for the murder of Yi Fei. At the same time, Wu Sanyang learned that Dao Ling had eliminated the 3 most talented members of the Wu family. The following morning, the vice dean arrived at the Wu family estate, having summoned Chen Hai to recount how Dao Ling had slain Yi Fei. Yet upon hearing the name Dao Ling, Madame Tam Nuzheng was visibly startled. She probed for information regarding his parents, but Chen Hai remained ignorant of his origins. The vice dean then remarked that since Dao Ling had retrieved the divine liquid for the dean, the academy would undoubtedly shield him from any consequences. Disregarding the academy's stance, she issued a cold command. Seal the city of Qingzhou and hunt down Dao Ling's entire family. Moments later, Dao Ling was busy acquiring supplies at the treasure pavilion. Xingyu expressed grave concern regarding the Wu family's pursuit, but Dao Ling remained indifferent, focused solely on returning to find his father. Observing his uncanny composure, Xingyu decided to accompany him to his home. However, as they neared their destination, they were met with the sound of desperate screams. It appeared that the Wu family had arrived at Dao Ling's home, but finding no trace of his father, they had turned their malice toward a defenseless woodsman. Dao Ling immediately intervened to rescue the poor man, while Chen Hai, emboldened by his masters, continued to bark insults at Dao Ling. Without hesitation, Dao Ling unleashed his power, systematically dismantling the Wu family's subordinates. Xingyu stepped in to assist, but Chen Hai seized the moment to incite the crowd by shouting that Dao Ling had murdered Yin Fei. Dao Ling, however, realized the truth. Chen Hai had murdered Yi Fei himself, and laid the blame at his feet. Enraged by the revelation, Chen Hai lunged forward, desperate to slay Dao Ling with his own hands. Yet, he was no match for Dao Ling's superior strength. Though another member of the Wu family shielded him from the brunt of the attack, Chen Hai was ultimately struck down by Dao Ling. Dao Ling spared his life momentarily, intending to extract the location of his father. Upon hearing the villain confess that his father had already departed before they arrived, Dao Ling ended Chen Hai's life, consuming him in flames. Entering his home, Dao Ling discovered that his father had cleared out all the mineral stones and departed. Dao Ling mused, "My father is an earthmaster. He would certainly have hidden his letter in a secure location." Swiftly, he unearthed his father's message, and Xingyu realized with astonishment that Dao Ling's father was none other than the legendary Dao Qiaoxian. That night, the Wu family plastered posters of Dao Ling throughout Qingzhou, launching a citywide manhunt. Dao Ling and Xingyu returned to Qingzhou City, and as Xingyu was desperate to meet the legendary Earthmaster, Dao Qiaoxian, she insisted on following Dao Ling. The duo ventured toward a dark cavern, where they encountered a Yin soldier. Dao Ling quickly utilized talismans to mask their presence. Despite his efforts, the Yin spirit detected them and launched a ruthless assault. No matter how they dodged, the spirit's spectral spear relentlessly pursued them. Xingyu attempted to bind the weapon with her energy shield, but the spear shattered her defense with ease. Seizing the initiative, Dao Ling struck back, wielding the Thunderdrum sword to pin the Yin soldier in place. Taking advantage of the distraction, Dao Ling seized the moment and at this moment, he could only inflict wounds with his strikes. He remained unable to penetrate the cavern. However, halfway through their flight, Dao Ling lost consciousness. It turned out his wounds were infected with demonic energy, forcing Xingyu to treat him with precious medicinal elixirs. Fortunately, Dao Ling regained consciousness, though his wounds had yet to be fully eradicated. Suddenly, the letter left behind by Dao Qiaoxian took flight, and the two followed closely behind it. It led Dao Ling to the Dao Yuan liquid pool, where he immersed himself to ensure his wounds would fully heal. Seizing the opportunity, he proceeded to elevate his cultivation level. However, his opponent was a figure of immense power, forcing him to unleash the White Tiger seal to mount an assault. He then took the chance to transition into his manifestation. Yet the White Tiger was crushed. Seeing this, Dao Ling utilized the Crimson Fire to bind that limb, before calling upon the Phoenix to shatter the hand. Upon waking, he felt a twinge of guilt for consuming the entire pool of Dao Yuan liquid by himself. Hearing this, Xingyu replied, "Do not worry. I had already gathered some for myself earlier." Following that, the earth vein guided them further ahead. They had arrived at an ancient ruin. Here, Dao Ling witnessed a projection left by his father, where Dao Qiaoqian spoke of the Wu clan's relentless pursuit of them. This place was an ancient ruin guarded by Yin Shot. He had originally intended for Dao Ling to arrive here so he could use the Yin Shot to trap the members of the Wu clan. However, he learned that his sister, Ling Yan, was being hunted. Thus, he was forced to head to Dao Chao to protect her. In the message, he advised, "Dao Ling, go to Dao Chao. Let the grievances with the Wu clan wait for another time." But after learning all of this, how could Dao Ling simply let it go? He instructed Xingyu to move aside, intending to set a trap to lure the Wu clan forces here. Dao Ling then shattered the foundation of the ground, causing the Yin Shot to emerge. As they attacked, he employed the White Tiger seal, only to discover that the Yin Shot were immortal. He was thrown against the wall by the force of their strike, prompting Xingyu to urge him to retreat. Xingyu created a barrier to block the Yin Shot, but they simply vanished. It turned out that the Yin Shot could not cross the threshold of the doorway. He then asked Xingyu to set up a void array, but she set a condition. Dao Qiaoqian must become a guest advisor for the Tubao Kasek. The following morning, Dao Ling went undercover to the Wu clan's private estate. When blocked by a guard, he struck the man in frustration before producing Wu Hong's guest medallion. Seeing it, The guard immediately begged for his life. The other guard knelt as well. And naturally, Dao Ling feigned mercy to let the matter slide. One of them assumed Dao Ling had come to conduct an inspection and led him into the estate. From that same guard, he learned that the person overseeing this residence was Xiu Nusong. Nevertheless, he intended to infiltrate the treasury before meeting her. Upon entering the warehouse, he demanded the dragon vine, but wasted no time in knocking out his guide, intending to set the entire storehouse ablaze. Word of the warehouse fire reached Juniang with alarming speed. By the time she arrived with her entourage, Dao Ling had already shed his disguise, sending her into a blind rage. Dao Ling immediately activated the void formation, luring her and her subordinates toward the Yin soldiers. Juniang arrived first, forcing her to face the legion of Yin soldiers alone. When the others eventually caught up, they too quickly became fodder for the undead horde. Consumed by fury, Juniang resolved to annihilate the Yin soldiers. After a fierce engagement, she succeeded in wiping them out entirely. However, a colossal Yin specter emerged, a development that caught Dao Ling by surprise, though it only served to heighten his excitement. Juniang was struck repeatedly, yet she was no mere amateur, swiftly batting the creature's spear aside. She then unleashed a divine artifact to strike the Yin specter, but inadvertently shattered the dragon statue standing behind it. Caught off guard, she was forced to narrowly dodge an arrow fired from within the ruins. Seizing the moment, Dao Ling breached the entrance and launched an assault on Juniang. Finding themselves evenly matched, Dao Ling was forced to resort to a sneak attack from behind to strike her down. Even in the throes of death, Juniang managed to transmit an image of her demise back to Sanyang. Just then, the colossal Yin specter reconstituted itself, and the Li lines of the Dao Qiaoshan triggered, pulling him behind the dragon statue. It guided him to the 9-colored divine fluid pond, where he could cultivate in seclusion. Without hesitation, he plunged into the pond, allowing the azure lotus to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. Meanwhile, the Wu family arrived at Xingchen Academy, demanding the dean's surrender Dao Ling. The dean remained resolute, refusing to yield despite Sanyang's persistent threats. She launched an attack that forced the dean to activate his defensive barrier, prompting the students to swear they would live and die with the academy. At that critical moment, the image sent by Juniang arrived, strengthening Sanyang's resolve to see Dao Ling dead. She ordered her men to summon Wu Yin, and shortly after, the entire Wu family contingent departed. The dean immediately ordered the academy locked down and bolstered its defensive perimeters. Shi intended to go to Dao Ling's aid, but Lin Mu warned her that Wu Yin was a powerhouse second only to the martial emperor, rendering any attempt at intervention futile. Nevertheless, Lin Musha resolved to mobilize troops to assist Dao Ling in his defense. Elsewhere, Wu Yin had already returned to the Wu family estate. Upon surveying the ruined warehouse and sensing the remnants of the void formation, he was visibly stirred with excitement. Shortly thereafter, Wu Yin led the entire Wu family force out. Meanwhile, Dao Ling continued his breakthrough, this time facing the trials of the yin-yang formation. Wu Yin and the Wu family arrived at the site where Juniang had been slain. He struck at the dragon statue, causing the yin specters to manifest once more. He then employed the yin-yang formation to begin systematically purging the yin specters. At that same moment, Dao Ling found himself severely suppressed by the power of the yin-yang formation. Compelled to act, he invoked the black tortoise to withstand the onslaught of the formation. He would then seize that opportunity to strike with his broken sword. Even so, Dao Ling remained unable to shatter the formation. A moment later, the formation turned to assault Dao Ling, forcing him to exhaust his strength in a desperate counterattack. Reflecting on the past, Dao Ling remembered when his primordial sacred body was stolen, and the one who received it was none other than Wu Di. To ensure Wu Di's successful absorption of the body, they even forced Dao Ling to consume the blood of a savage beast. Only after the deed was done did Dao Ling's parents manage to enter. Seeing him in such agony shattered their hearts. Yet Wu Wangdong continued to lie, claiming he was merely treating Dao Ling's condition. To their shock, Wu Di stood up and declared, "I have now attained the primordial sacred body that once belonged to Dao Ling." Hearing this, Chen Shuang was overcome with fury, enraged that they had stolen the very essence of her son. Wu Wangdong, however, felt no remorse, going so far as to say, if they remained silent, he would allow the Dao clan to exist within his dominion. Naturally, Shao Qian refused. Following this, he summoned the 9 dragons to engage in battle. The 3 members of the San Niang faction scrambled onto the rooftops to hide, while Xiao Shan used the 9 dragons to ravage the Wu estate, slaughtering members of the Wu clan. Witnessing this, Wu Wangdong threatened, if Xiao Shan did not cease his assault, he would exterminate the entire Dao clan. But Xiao Xian was consumed by rage, declaring, he had once saved Wu Wangdong's life, only for the man to repay that kindness with such treachery. With those words, he unleashed the Earth Vein 7 stars to shatter the enemy's barrier. In the ensuing chaos, San Yang managed to save Wu Di, but Wangdong bore the full force of the explosion. When Xiao Shan continued his assault, an elder of the Wu clan appeared to intervene, only to be slain by Xiaoxin's hand. Wu Qing then launched an attack, but Xiaoxin absorbed the power of the 9 dragons to manifest his true form. Naturally, Wu Qing was also slain by his hand. At that moment, as San Niang attempted to flee with Wu Di, Xiaoxin caught sight of them. He drew upon the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth to execute the Zhao Heaven Palm. Both San Niang and Wu Di were on the verge of death when the ancestor of the Wu clan suddenly appeared. The ancestor was incredibly powerful, and it was only through Qin Shuang's intervention that Xiaoxian managed to survive. To protect his wife and child, Xiaoqian pushed them to safety, choosing to face the Wu clan alone. At this moment, Dao Ling finally regained consciousness, his internal world having recovered to some degree. He emerged, his resolve hardened, determined to take Wu Di's life. At the same time, Wu Yin was closing in on Dao Ling's location. Upon meeting, Wu Yin ordered his men to kill him, but Dao Ling manifested his vision and utilized the 7 stars to eradicate them all. Unexpectedly, Wu Yin managed to shatter the 7 stars. The two clashed once more, locked in a fierce struggle. However, because Dao Ling possessed the earth vein inherited from his father, Wu Yin proved to be no match for him. In the aftermath, Dao Ling intended to seek out his father, but Wu Yin recovered. And so, Yu Yin did not forget to launch an assault on Dao Ling at that moment. The sheer force of their clash caused the entire cavern to tremble, teetering on the brink of collapse. Dao Ling was forced to weave through the air while dodging the falling debris. All the while, he had to maneuver to block Yu Yin's path. By the time they neared the cavern entrance, Yu Yin had finally caught up to him. He moved with such blinding speed that Dao Ling was disoriented, and a follow-up strike sent him flying out of the cave. Yu Yin continued to mercilessly pummel him, but just as he prepared to deliver the killing blow, the white sable suddenly appeared. Naturally, even though it was a divine beast, Yu Yin had no intention of sparing the creature. When the sable erected a defensive barrier, Yu Yin launched a relentless barrage of attacks against it. Dao Ling seized this opportunity to tend to his wounds, but the barrier was shattered by Yu Yin in short order. Nevertheless, Dao Ling had regained some strength by then and joined the white sable in a combined assault. Even so, Dao Ling remained vastly outmatched, quickly finding himself bound by Yu Yin's manifestation. The white sable was also trapped within the manifestation. Seeing its master in mortal danger, it charged forward to intercept the strike. The consequence was dire. The manifestation dissipated, and the white sable perished. At that moment, Dao Ling's rage reached its zenith, allowing him to effortlessly deflect the Fire King's seal. He then unleashed a flurry of strikes, battering his opponent beyond all recognition. Dao Ling followed up with an attack from his peacock, but Yu Yin surged to his feet to retaliate. Drawing a blade concealed within his flute, Yu Yin unleashed a torrent of swords to slaughter the peacock. Yet with a simple flick of a talisman to shield the beast, Dao Ling caused the blades to vanish into nothingness. Yu Yin refused to relent, continuing his assault on the peacock. But this time, the creature deflected the blades on its own. Yet at the most critical moment, Tam Nuong made her appearance. She rebuked Vun Gan for his carelessness, before revealing that Dao Lang was on the verge of regenerating the primordial sacred body within him. Consequently, she intended to seize the primal essence from him for Vun Gan to utilize. No sooner had she spoken than she launched an assault upon Dao Lang. Dao Lang struck back, yet he was effortlessly repelled and sent crashing to the ground. By then, Dao Lang had vomited blood, and was in no condition to continue the struggle. Seeing this, Vun Gan swooped in, intent on plundering the primal essence. Than Truc stood her ground to protect him, but concerned for her safety, Dao Lang urged her to retreat back into the Jade Void. Upon seeing Than Truc, Tam Nuong became determined to capture the girl for herself. She summoned a tempest to descend upon them, but Than Trusac displayed no fear, instead charging into the heart of the storm to unleash a bolt of lightning at Tam Nukong. Unable to remain a passive spectator, Dao Lang lunged toward the storm, catching Than Trusac just as she began to fall. Driven by the need to protect her, he exerted his remaining strength to strike and injure Vun Gan. Distracted by this, Tam Nuong faltered, granting Dao Lang the opening he needed to activate the void array and escape. He immediately brought Than Trusac to see Tuxingok, pleading for her to tend to the girl's injuries. Fortunately, Dao Lang possessed the necessary medicinal elixirs, and Than Trusac was treated just in time. She soon regained consciousness, and returned to the sanctuary of the Jade Void. Observing his intensity, Tungok grew curious as to why he harbored such deep hatred for the Vu clan. Dao Lang revealed that the Vu royal cave had stolen his primal essence, a fate they had inflicted upon many others to empower the 3 members of the Vu family. With his resolve set, Dao Lang decided to depart from Tanqiao City to search for his father and aunt. Hearing this, Tuan Gok accompanied him for a portion of his journey